Hi there, my name's Gemma and I'm a PhD student at the University of Leicester, researching AI and robotics. In this video I'm going to show you how to collect data using Meta's Digit Visuo-Tactile sensor. So the Digit interface Python library allows us to interact with the digit, change settings and capture data, but this can only be done by running a custom script, which can get a bit fiddly, especially if you're trying to build a large dataset. So I have developed a graphical user interface to make this process much easier, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use it. So let's get started. You will need Linux to use the digit sensor, as the sensor itself is not compatible with Mac or Windows. I'm using Ubuntu 22.04 here and Python 3.10. So I have my Git folder open, which is where I want to download the repo to. Obviously you can choose any location, and to clone the repo we can just use the command which is here, which is just git clone and the address of the GUI repo, and that will clone it for us, which we can then go into. So if I just go cd digit GUI, and I'll do that down here as well, you can see we have the repo. So to install the required packages, we will create a virtual environment inside this directory. So to do that, it's really simple. We just write Python 3 virtual environment, and we'll just literally call it venv, or venv, and give that a second to build that. Then what we're going to do is activate that and install our requirements. And there's only two requirements, which is the digit interface library and pillow as well. So we can now activate that. So we can just go venv bin activate. And as you can see, we're now inside our virtual environment. So now we can pip install, and we can install our requirements.txt, and that will install the digit interface and all the requirements that brings, and pillow as well. So give it a minute to do that. Okay, so we're all set. So to run the GUI, we should first connect our digit sensor via USB. You can see mine here, which I've pointed a camera at, and then we can run the main file, which is just Python digit underscore GUI.py. And here is our GUI. If we hadn't connected the sensor, a message would have appeared prompting us to do so. I'll just move it over to the side here. So you can see we've got a bunch of settings and controls and a live stream from the sensor. So if I just press the sensor over here, you can see that it's a live view. So the first two settings refer to the digit sensor itself. So RGB intensity. And then we've got the stream mode, and I'm actually going to change that to QVGA 30 FPS. So one thing to note is that the actual frame rate will differ depending on your computer performance, but it shouldn't cause any issues unless it's significantly slower than the target FPS. So the three settings below are related to the data capture. So we have the number of frames to capture, which can be a single frame like so, or you can set it to multiple frames if you want to capture, say, a sliding motion, for example. The interaction number is for file naming purposes, and it auto increments after each capture, but you can always manually set this as well. And the countdown seconds are how many seconds you want the app to count down from the press of the capture button before actually starting to capture. And this is quite handy if you need a few seconds to position the sensor on an object, for example. So in the capture control section, we can enable or disable this countdown, and we have our main capture button here too. And then finally we have our save directory at the bottom. This is the folder that we want to store our tactile images. By default it's the local directory, But let's create an images folder, and within that let's create a folder for our plastic toy object that we're going to use and set it to that. So we can create a new folder here. Let's call the whole thing images, and then inside that we'll create one for plastic_toy for that particular object. Obviously you could have done this via the terminal instead. So I'm going to select that directory now, so images, plastic toy, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually select the images, so into plastic toy I just selected them, there we go. So that's plastic toy now selected, and we can start to capture some images. So before we do that though, we can see that all settings are going to be autosave when we exit the app. So if I close the app now and launch it again using the same command as before, move it back over here, you'll see that the updated, we're now on 30 FPS like before, and we've got the updated directory. So everything that you make changes to when you exit the app, it does save. So let's capture some tactile images. To start with, we'll just do one frame at a time, like a single tap interaction. So I'll set a 3-second countdown, enable that there, to give me time to position my sensor and hit the capture button. And I'll get my sensor ready on my object and start to capture. So if I hit capture, it'll give us the countdown. And we can see that it captured the interaction there when I was pressing it on the plastic toy. So we could, the interaction number's automatically incremented now, so we could keep repeating that process. I'm going to give myself a little bit longer to get it into position. So hit capture, and we've got 5 seconds. So this one should have captured his nose sort of pressing up on the corner there, which you can see it did do. So we can repeat this as many times as we like, and the interaction number increments each time. So let's say we wanted to collect some sliding motions now on a different object, let's say a tennis ball. So let's create the folder like before. So we'll go, we'll just call it ball. Again, we could have just done that in the terminal if we wanted. And we'll update the directory. So we'll go back from plastic toy to images and into ball. Make sure that's the correct directory, which it is. And this time we want to do some more frames. So say 3 seconds worth roughly. So that would be approximately 90 frames. Like I say, the actual frame rate will be slightly different. And we want to reset our interaction number back to 1 because it's a brand new interaction. We'll leave 5 seconds countdown and capture, and I'll start getting ready. So get ready to So as you can see, I was sliding it along the tennis ball, and what we can see now is that in the folder we have a new subfolder called interaction 1, and within that we should have 90 different frames, which would be our tennis ball sliding. So for single frames, the frames are named as interaction N, but for multiple frames, the frames are named as frame M, for example, within a folder called interaction N, if that makes sense. So check out one of these images, see if you can tell if it was a tennis ball. Possibly. So that's it, and I hope you can see how easy it is to use the GUI for tactile data collection with the digit sensor. If you have any comments or questions, please post them below, and thank you for watching.